Welcome to Fridays with Tab and Chance. I am Tabitha Brown, and this is my amazing husband.
Chance, what's up?
Bring the beat in. Fridays, Fridays, Fridays with Tab and Chance. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Fridays, Fridays, Fridays with Tab and Chance.
Hey, we probably could capitalize on our song if we spice it up a little bit, like Angel. And then we could put ours out there and go viral. We might.
Angel, are you hearing this? What we're going?
We might get Lizzo and everybody dancing on everything. We might need to spice that up just a bit.
Well, I be trying to spice it up. You just cut I was finna go into it.
Nah, that ain't spicing it up.
What you want?
That's called olding it up.
What you want to put?
Old.
The robot? Old Spice. Okay, there's a market for this.
Nah, don't worry about it.
What was you thinking? What kind
I don't know.
How you want to spice it up? Because angels,
yeah.
They,
nah,
that's the kind of.
Hey,
y'all see the Chance went nasty first today?
Nah, I didn't go nasty.
Yeah, you did. You talking about? I think we could spice it up
a little bit.
Well, what you want to do?
You think spice means nasty?
What you want to do?
I don't want to do that.
How you want to spice it up?
What we talking about today?
Daddies. We talking about daddies today.
We're talking about your daddy. So let's
pull me right on out of it.
So you said we talking about Father's Day. That means we talking about your daddy then. I
just said you took me out of it, babe. I'm focused now.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking nasty, but we're talking about my daddy.
So,
today we are talking about.
You realize at one point your daddy had to be nasty though. You get it from somewhere. And you didn't get it, and you got here from somewhere.
I know how I got here.
Okay, I'm just saying, so you know.
But I know that it was the
Father's Day,
the most peaceful, very sanctified way.
Nope.
My mama did it to create me.
Nope.
It was the Lord's work they were doing.
They were doing some work.
Shut up.
You came here on a lust.
No, I
came here on a lust bus.
No. You came here on the lust bus. My mama and daddy, they was married, and they probably prayed about me, and here I came.
Okay, there was some praying going on.
My mom, you know what? My mom
was calling out for
my
Jesus.
Parents probably never did it. They probably was like Joseph and Mary. You know, my daddy, he's so sweet, and my mama, she was a little angel.
Okay,
they just poof, here I came.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, anywho. It's Father's Day coming up. And so I thought it would be a great conversation. Like, let's talk about fatherhood, babe. I feel like, outside of my daddy, you are, one of the best fathers I've seen do it.
I'm one of them.
Well, I said outside of my daddy.
I mean, outside of your daddy?
Yeah. I mean, I get firsthand and watching you do it.
Yeah, but you said I'm one of them. Like, you got a whole list of, like a whole, like I'm in the.
You know what I mean.
But nah, I'm gonna get you. I'm in a different group.
My Uncle Pokey a good daddy too. I like, I got a lot of them that I've seen, but I got to see you firsthand.
Let me ask you then. How many of them do you know? If you can name them.
How many?
How many great fathers do you know? I'm going somewhere with it.
I know a lot of them. It's too many to name. I think there's more good fathers than not.
Me too.
Me
too. When I was growing up, not so much. That's why I said that. Yeah, when I was growing up, I can't recall a whole lot of great fathers, but I think the narrative has changed. That's all I was getting at. I think it has changed.
Well, I think that for me, some of the same great fathers I know now, I knew them growing up. So I think it was what you were surrounded by, maybe.
How you was raised, I guess.
Yeah, or who you were, Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what fatherhood, means to you. Like when you hear the word father, right? For me, I know I'm a daddy's girl. When I hear fatherhood, fathers, daddy, I get this little feeling inside of me because I am a true daddy's girl. I love my daddy. I think there's no greater man, right? I mean, you cool and stuff, but my daddy is my daddy. No, but and I just think about everything that he taught me as a child. And just his presence always being there for me. I realize in my circle of friends though, like all of my immediate friends, my girlfriends, and it was 4 of us. I was the only one who had my daddy, which I didn't realize until we were older. I was like, dang, I didn't realize that I was the only one who had my daddy in the house, who had a father in their life. I didn't realize that. So when you say that, you know, you didn't see it a lot growing up, but all of the men like in my family, like my uncles, cousins, that type of thing, I knew them as great dads, right? And I can't also say that sometimes as a kid, and now as an adult, I realize the difference is sometimes I thought because they were there that made them a great dad. But sometimes the presence doesn't make you a great dad. You just a body.
Just a body.
You know, but you don't, that doesn't make you a great father. Just being there doesn't give you the credit of being great. So
or it doesn't give you the credit of being able to say that you are a father.
Right.
Just being there.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Not just great, but the title itself.
But yeah, so what I'm saying is, you know, for me growing up, I had my daddy, you know, always. You know, some of my best memories as a child is with my daddy. My daddy taught me how to ride a bike. He taught me how to change oil in a car. You know, my daddy bought me my first joke book. He encouraged laughter for me and performing. He also taught me how to talk. And when I say talk, it's like he would give me these long talks. And now I do them too. But he mostly also taught me how to listen. Because he would give me these long talks. And in my mind, I'd be like, man, Daddy, be quiet. Like, especially when I was in trouble and he was like lecturing me. And I'd be like, oh my God. But I was listening. And now I can find myself sometime doing the same thing with choice or question. I'm like, oh my God, I sound like my daddy. But I'm so grateful for it all, you know, that I had all of that. And so I used to feel, or not feel, I think I used to not understand you not having your father in the beginning of our relationship. I used to be like, you don't miss him, you don't want to have a relationship, and it took me a long time to understand when you used to tell me you can't miss something you never had.
You can't miss something you never
right.
had.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about fatherhood from your point of view.
Well, when you say it, it's a range of emotions, right? But to be honest with you, the first one, when you say Father's Day, to me, I get anxiety. Yeah, it's like because of, and I think it stems from what you just said, right? You don't know if you're doing it right. I don't know if I'm doing it right. So you kind of have a hint of imposter's syndrome for being rewarded for something that you don't really know if, man, am I getting this right? And then the dynamic in which, you know, our kids were brought into this world, right? So when you say Father's Day, it's a sense of anxiety because even though I have 2 adult daughters and then I got my son, how they were raised is significantly different. You know what I mean? So when I start thinking about them, it's layered. I think then there's a part of me that's, you know, I take pride in it as well. It ain't just anxiety. I try to find a way to at least, you know, give myself credit for what I have accomplished and not running from the anxiety and the responsibility of it all. But if I'm being honest, whenever it comes up, I'm just like I don't need a whole lot. I don't want a whole lot. It's Father's Day. Don't make a big deal about it. Because of that. there's an anxiety. Like, man, I think when you become a parent, regardless of the dynamic, you are signing up for the rest of your life to wonder if you're getting it right, and to be stressed. And it's not too much that can change that. You get what I mean? Now the older I am, I feel like the contributing factor is that when I'm going back and reflecting on life, I'm like, hey, you can't miss something that you didn't have. So you don't have anything to compare it to. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? You don't have anything to say, well, my dad did this, right? And I'm going to do this, whether it was right or wrong. It's just kind of like you grabbing from different things or different people in this world. Like, well, they seem to have he seems to have a successful household. He's doing this, and I'm gonna try that with my son, right? I like what I like what him and his daughter have, and it's trial and error.
I think the good part about that, though, there's a good part in that, is that, and you've said this before, kind of like when it comes to religion, right, or going to church. Mm-hmm. You didn't grow up in the church, and so your relationship you found with God organically, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that not having something to compare or to influence your fatherhood or your parenting and figuring it out on your own and doing it your way, it's also could be a positive.
I agree. I agree.
There's been a lot of unlearning I had to do.
Yeah, I think too. I do. I agree with that. Like I said, that's how I find my pride, is when I'm like, okay, well, I ain't having no blueprint on it, and they seem to be doing okay with that. Or one of them or two of them seem to be getting it, and maybe not, so it's just a majority thing as it pertains to success in that. But yeah, I agree. But I mean, right when we was about to start recording, I had said to Tab, I've never bought a Father's Day gift, and it just dawned on me. I've never bought a Father's Day gift. I've never had to, I think one time when I was like teenager or something, I bought my mom a Father's Day gift.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
really?
I gave her, I think I bought her some flowers and left them on the bed for her.
But not for a father, though. There's never a man until my dad.
Mm-hmm. And I think with him, it's always one of those where it's a gift from me and you. Mm-hmm. But I've never had it where it's like, hey, Father's Day is coming up, I got to go buy this gift.
Right.
I ain't never,
And there was never anybody in your life. So maybe you've never bought a Father's Day gift, but growing up, were there men in your life as a kid that gave you father influence, rather? Things that you learned from men that could contribute to,
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but not significant. Not enough for me to be like, this person is deserving of a Father's Day gift.
Right? Yeah. No. I mean? Yeah. No, I don't mean.
But
that.
yeah. That's mainly how I navigated. You know what I mean? Like through just men in the community or cousins who also didn't grow up, with their dads or whatnot. But
was that
then
a
it
thing?
Then it was what was one of them?
Oh, like because you said cousins or people in your community. Mm-hmm. Was that the majority?
Yeah. And that's, that was, and now, I realized, that crossed my mind when I was in my early 20s. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking back on the Ellaby Court, Lewis Street, all the places, in that community where we grew up. And I was like, man, when all our people with their daddies, their moms was always around.
Them, but their dads were in their life.
Without naming people, I don't want to offend anybody.
Right.
I can remember one person whose his dad just passed. Mm-hmm. Right. His dad was around. Mm-hmm.
In the house.
In the house.
Yes.
And then, like I've always said, I'll name him because I've said it before. But Joe Smith's dad was there, and he passed early. Thank God for him. You know what I mean? Like, but outside of that. and you know how many friends I've had. You know my community, even the girls, and this is not just boys. This is boys and girls. You got to think about who lived in that neighborhood. I don't remember any of their dads being in an influence in the community, let alone just being around like that. I don't know the dynamics. You know what I mean? I don't know what the circumstances were, but yeah, that was like the running thing, But there were good men, right? So I think I keep putting the emphasis on. I want to make sure that I put an emphasis on that because I don't want people to have the impression that I'm saying there was no good men.
Right.
There was still some good men around who, now whether or not they were being good fathers in their own personal life, I can't really speak to that. But I just remember people like I remember Pratt. I remember Pratt. Pratt would take his time and come up to the rec center, and even outside of the rec, we'd be in the neighborhood, we'd be doing something we ain't got no business, or we look bored or something, he would find something for us to do. You know what I mean? It was people like him that I remember, and then a lot of the younger men, just they were young in their early 20s. When you 12, 13 years old, that's an old man. You know what I mean? Still, guys like that were getting out there playing football with us, doing, stuff like that, and making sure that we,
stayed out of trouble.
But stayed out of trouble. These were the days where it was like, hey man, let me teach you how to take care of yourself. So we had to, you know what I mean? You had to learn how to do a couple of things out there in the streets. But when I reflect on it, it's like, all right, man, I took that throughout life. I knew, it's like one of them teaching you how, you don't start it, but you finish it type thing. And
oh, y'all out there fighting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we defending. It wasn't we defending now. That's the proper way to say that. You ain't starting it, but you finishing it. So I appreciated those people later in life. I remember this man. I always talk about him, LT, Larry Thompson.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, he would have, he had a drug addiction, and to a lot of people, they was just throwing him away. But what I remember about him is that he loved his kids and he took care of his kids. Not only did he take care of his kids, he took care of us and taught us a lot of valuable things. A lot of tools that I want to carry on through my adulthood. There was a man named Harold Bronex. I would be bored, right, and just be sitting on the porch, and he would come over with me and this other kid, Darren, and he would read to us. He would. And this was on Lewis Street. You've seen, he would sit on the stoop and he would tell us all these old tales and read books to us and tell us the importance of reading and dreaming. And he would sit there and just for hours, just me and Darren, and entertain us.
So you had to be children. How old?
I would guess, back then he seemed old. I'm a young man.
How old you?
I'm 44 now, so I would imagine he's probably late in his 60s. So he was probably...
I'm saying, how old were you during this time?
Oh, I was probably... This was at Lewis Street. I was 14 or between 10 and 14. And he did this over the summers. Like, I just remember, when mom would let me leave the porch, but I ain't have to go to bed. I could sit out on the stoop. Right? And he would come, and everybody else was out venturing. My teenage cousins, they would be able to go do things, and I had to stay home.
Yeah. And
he would come over there, and he would literally tell us stories. So it was people like him, you know what I mean? And he was always in positivity. He would always tell us, with the community, we would be seeing things. And now looking back at it, I remember, I feel like he knew, he was a great man. He would be like, you see drugs, you see people smoking and doing all kinds of stuff. And he would always try to come and clean that up. He would be like, don't do drugs, just, that kind of stuff with me and Darren. So it was people in the community.
That gave father presence.
Yeah. And then probably the one that I'm most fond of, out of all of them, you're going to hear me talk about him all the time. That's Mike, Los. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was
young.
Very young. very young, but very wise. And he just didn't have to, but he took a liking to me. He protected me when I was getting out there and I was smelling myself and doing stuff that I ain't had no business and wanting to venture into a world where I ain't have no clue what that world really, I thought I was tough type thing, that he had actually lived and endured. He was the one who would come and, literally, man, get in the car. Like, man, this ain't your life type thing. Yeah, and always in his own way, not in his own way, speak life into me, right? And so I had people, right? You know what I mean? I had people. I had men in my life that did fatherly like things. You know what I mean? So
did you know your daddy?
No.
You just knew of him?
I knew of him, right? I didn't know him though. I knew of him. I knew that he existed, obviously, and I knew his whereabouts, and I knew some of his story. I knew that, you know what I mean?
Was there ever anything inside of you that made you curious about your dad?
Not until I was, 26? Maybe.
Well, you went when we first got together.
Yeah. And I don't even think I was really curious.
But as a little boy, right? And I only asked this because I am genuinely curious.
It was a principal. Principal Reynolds. But to answer your question, no. Like, I never really, like...
well, let me finish asking you. So
only when people would bring him up. You get what I mean? Like,
so I'm saying, like, in elementary school, right? Because I just remember other kids being sad sometime in school when it came to us making stuff for dad. And
man, I would make that stuff. I'm not even... This ain't even on no tough guy stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't really, like...
We talking 5, 6, 7, 8 years old.
Not once.
Nothing made you think, I wonder who my daddy is?
No.
Nothing.
No, because he
that
never...
That is so amazing.
Because he never... He was not the father that came and left, right?
Right, yeah.
So it was like, to me, this was normal. Everybody lives with their grandma, with their mama, and their uncles in the house. That was normal to me, and I was having fun all the time.
So when you saw other kids with their daddies, nothing in you was like, dang, I wonder what my daddy is.
My eyes, I don't...
It was like tunnel vision?
I don't remember one time as a kid ever looking and being like, where my daddy? It was more so like, you got a daddy, I got a mama. Mama, I got a mama. Like, like... My mama.
You got a mama and daddy, and I got a mama. That means
because in most
your mama
spaces,
was doing a real good job in keeping you.
Because in most spaces, we never saw our parents. I don't remember our parents ever being around, and it being significant that it was a father or a mom, right? So like.
But you spent a lot of time with Peter growing up, right?
Yeah.
And didn't he have his mom and daddy both?
Yeah, but it was like normal.
That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't like
it
was nothing that his dad was my uncle. So I didn't really
and he was just your uncle.
And his dad, I'm thinking of this right now, maybe they just did a good job at making sure that we all felt loved.
Yeah.
Like I didn't miss anything. You get what I mean? When he ate, I ate.
Right.
Right? When he got a toy, I got a toy. It was like, so I didn't miss anything, or I didn't see any, like, when we was at games and stuff like that, right? When other dads were around, the same encouragement they gave to their boys, they gave to me. You get what I mean? So I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
It was like, I used to keep my mouth shut about, I tell you this all the time. I didn't have that experience.
No,
I didn't have that where it was like people
to share that.
Yeah, people were. It wasn't too often that their dads were at the football, basketball games, or their moms. It was our older cousins,
right?
Right,
they had to work.
They yeah.
Parents
so
was at work.
it wasn't one of those to where fathers and moms were like. So I didn't, you know what I mean? I don't have a lot of memories where it was everybody's parents were there. and I'm glad you bring him up. So my friend Al, he grew up in a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
I what was normal for me was the people who were normal to me.
Your family, sir.
Yeah, they were normal to me, and their mom and dads weren't there. It was their older sisters. Now that's something that I did wish I had. Now that's something that I do remember. I remember being like, man, I wish I had a big brother.
So that was the more influence for you because you were only child. So seeing your cousins or friends with older
big
siblings,
brothers, and that was like that took place. I was like, man, I wish I had a big brother, man.
Very
like,
interesting.
Man, your big brother here. Now that's something that I would, but it was never like, man, his dad is here. I don't remember having those. I do remember wishing I had a grandparent. That's crazy. Now grandparents were big to me. I was like, man. I remember asking my mom about my grandparents. Like, man, where my grandparents at? They love people. They are sweet. I want a sweet grandma. That's what I wanted. But I ain't had that same experience.
But you had a great grandma, right?
I had a great grandmother, right? My mom's grandmother. So that was a different dynamic.
Yeah.
And
but that I wanted to ask these questions because I think there's this, and I know for me for a long time, there was this thought that if you didn't have it, you missed it and you desired it. But that's not everybody's story.
Not mine.
And there's sometimes where community can be so strong that a child is so loved or surrounded that they don't know that they're missing a father in the house or a mother in the house because everyone has surrounded them and it fills the void that you don't even know that exists. So I think that's great that you shared that. But what caused you to want to reach out to your daddy later in life? Because I know when we first got together, like we were 19. You went up to go and like talk to him and meet him.
Really, it was just a combination of things. My kids asking, you know what I mean, and
well, at this time you was 19.
Oh, you talking about then?
Right. You went. I remember you was like, man, he had these newspaper clippings, and remember when we first got together, you went over there and talked to him for a little bit.
Yeah, I think I was a little older than 19. I think that was right. I know what you're talking about.
It was before you.
That was
came to California, so you was 19.
That was what drove me there. I can't remember, but it wasn't. I can't remember. I just remember going to see him and being surprised. Like, okay, well, I think the newspaper clippings you're talking about, that was Dion. Dion showed me those, and then he had I don't know, I can't remember, but I do remember one of the times that I spoke to him, realizing that I did not have, and him thinking that I had bad feelings towards him. Me realizing like, man, I don't got no, I really came to terms with the fact like, man, I don't know this dude to be mad at him, right? And I felt, I don't know, I felt conflicted. Like, I ain't gonna keep telling you I ain't mad at you, man. Like, I'm trying to tell you, I'm not being mean. I ain't mad at you. I don't know you, but you starting to irritate me because you keep apologizing. Like, stop apologizing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I know one time, it was you was questioning me about going to see him, and I think we went.
The kids started reaching out. Something happened when my
mom
passed.
Yeah. I believe your mom had kind of made me want to go too, and I was like, all right, for health reasons and that kind of thing, and I went and talked to him. And I left the door open for him. I've always left the door open for him, so that he could reach out and without. I know it's hard for a whole lot of people to understand, but there really are people who I'm not mad at them. I don't expect nothing out of them, but I guess I learned at a very young age, or it was just like absence. He's just really not there. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how to miss you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I don't think about it. And I don't mean that in a harm way. I really don't think about a father in that aspect.
Do you think that his absence, and now as a man, right, and as a father yourself, has it influenced how you parent, how you father?
His absence?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, because I didn't realize that he was absent.
Well,
you get what I mean?
I say it. Well, this is why I asked, because I think it influences you, because it is a thing that you carry, that you always got to be there. Like you got to feel quest time. You got to, you know what I'm saying? There's always this thing that you feel like you have to.
So let me,
do,
okay, so this is what, you're partially correct, but it's not stemming from where you think it stems from.
Mm-hmm.
That stems from my mom not being able to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I had a moment where I was like, man, if my dad could have been there, right? That stems from people being in my mom's life as a boyfriend, and they wanted to be her boyfriend and didn't play the role of a father for me, right?
Yeah.
So I would contribute how I would probably say that those things contributed more to how I operate with Quest, as opposed to him not being around. Because I'm operating off the things that I actually live through, as opposed to what I live without. You get what I mean? Like, I was living in these situations with my mom and a boyfriend. And the things that I lived without, I don't think that they play more of a role in my day-to-day and how I parent, as opposed to the things that I live through. You know what I mean? So me not wanting to miss any of his stuff, whether it was because my mom couldn't be there or wouldn't be there for whatever reason or not, I'm gonna be there. Like, I'm gonna make a way, because now I see the importance of being there. The gender, I think, as far as it being a male or a female, in certain roles, yeah, it does. In certain things, it does make a difference. It makes a difference, right? But it ain't like do or die. You get what I mean? So,
and gender or not, every child is different.
Yeah.
Right? And we are a different parent for every child.
Absolutely.
We're not going to be the same parent for every child. So how do you feel like, as because it's all about fathers, so that's why I'm asking you, from your fathering journey with Leah to Choice to Quest, right? When you think of yourself as a father, what are the, I guess, top things you feel like have changed? What do you think you improved on, or how are they different, I guess? Because I think there's a lot of people out here that are trying, especially men, who are trying to get it right, and there's no real right.
So that's
just your experience.
So
right?
Going back to how we started, right? And I was talking about the anxiety and whether imposter syndrome. It stems from what you just said. So with Leah, right? Leah came when I'm 16, 17 years old. Me and her mom were teenage parents, and it was just hectic right from her birth.
Yeah.
I wasn't a man. I was impatient. I had little education, little life experience. I mean, very little to no life experience. I didn't know how to communicate. You know what I mean? Didn't know what I was going to do with my life. Choice comes along, pretty much the same, but the difference is I had somebody to share that with, somebody like-minded, to go through this growth and this process with, right? So I was able to work on a few of those things, gain life experience, learn how to communicate better. But it was more so, Choice was more so of the guinea pig, I think. And Choice grew up with us. So with Quest, he has benefited tremendously on the backs of his sisters. All of my wrongdoings with Leah, and all of our trial and error with Choice, and then the breakthroughs with him. He's getting to see the reward of his sisters. So I'm oftentimes telling them, don't envy him. Take pride in the fact that you helped in the thing that is called Quest. You've been a part of the journey.
Yeah.
All right, Quest. So I think in answering your question and how that's changed me, it has. I still deal with the anxiety. You know, I still worry every day. I worry less though because of them about how well I'm doing in certain aspects with him. Okay, because then that's their small thing about him being me preparing him to be a man in today's world. That as a father it's a stressful, it's a day-to-day stressful thing for me. But I think that my communication, my patience, my knowledge of this world and what I'm here to do, me feeling like I have come to terms that what enough parenting looks like with Leah, with Choice. I've come to terms. Choice has helped me in seeing the world in a wider lens, and that Choice is the true definition. She's really her name. Choice has helped me see that no matter how hands-on you have on a kid or on a human being, that God has truly designed that person and their personality and their soul differently.
To make their own choices.
To make their own choices.
That's right.
And you know, to bring me to this point with Quest, to make it, a little easier. But so I think I've grown. Yeah.
So as we come to the close of just having to talk about fatherhood, what would you say your definition of being a father is? Because you've talked about.
I think I've given it before.
Mm-hmm.
But man, my definition of being a father is being present, being vocal, being loving, but also being understanding that through your kids you will see the world change, and being understanding that there is no blueprint. There is no blueprint. That there is no one way to father, because they're all different. They're all changing. There's no blueprint. All right. So I would say that would be the definition of it.
Very good.
Yep.
All right. And I think that what you shared today is that whether you gave birth to a child, or played the role in giving birth, if you're not a biological father, we all, our men out there have, sometimes in their journey, have been placed in positions to give father energy, whether that be in the community, whether that be in schools, in the home or not, friends, family members. So to all the men out there who show up in those spaces, who take up space, who are present for children and men, who also still sometimes need fatherly advice or a father presence. We see you, we appreciate you for the work that you do. And you don't always have to have the bloodline to be a father, right? And for those of you who do have the bloodline and who are biological fathers, or adopted fathers, or just fathers, right? Those are your children, and you are doing a phenomenal job in raising them, honey. We see you, we applaud you, we appreciate you, we love you.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, keep doing it. Our men and women, our young girls and boys, they all need us, whether in the home or not, community, but in the world. Your presence is needed and it is appreciated. So happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to my daddy out there. Eddie Thomas, what's going on, man? But yes, happy Father's Day to all the fathers, to my Uncle Pokey, my Uncle Dennis, my Uncle Chris. To all the fathers out there. You want to give a shout out to any fathers, babe?
No. I'm just gonna give a shout out to all the men out there that's doing their best to do something positive and to do something father-like. Coaches, all the men out there that, whether you have had your own kids or not, the ones that are stepping up to the plate and the ones that are watching what they say around kids, that are correcting kids, that are going out of their way to do things that set an example, like opening doors and just doing things father-like, so that because they realize that even if they're not a father, the kid that's watching them may grow up one day to be a father. The ones that are just laying it out there for the kids. That's who I want to give a shout out to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. All right. Well, until the next time, honey, y'all go about y'all business and have the most amazing day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's here. We love you. God bless you. See you later.
Peace.
Thank y'all for watching. And don't forget to click here for more episodes.
And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Very good.